When the man was just about to leave his house, he noticed something terrifying. The computer game he had shut down a while ago had suddenly started running on its own. And the scariest part? The character inside the game was killing other players all by itself. At first, Nick thought it might be a virus, but then his phone rang. It was his friend, and what he said made Nick freeze. "Nick, don't come for the interview," his friend said. "There's been a massacre here. The whole area is surrounded by the police." A chill ran down Nick's spine because at that very moment he saw his in-game character slashing enemies in scenes that eerily resembled the real-life attack. To clear his doubts, Nick made a video call to his friend. But as soon as the call connected, his blood ran cold. The place his friend showed on camera was exactly the same as the one inside the game. Hesitantly, Nick waved at the camera, and the next second, his game character waved back at him. That's when Nick realized something was terribly wrong. Had the world of the game merged with reality? Trying to stay calm, he told his friend, "Ask one of the survivors." "What did the killer look like?" The witness replied, "The killer had a big sword and was wearing yellow pants." Nick's heart sank. His game character looked exactly the same. Now he was certain the game had somehow come to life. Panicking, Nick warned his friend to look around and check if anyone nearby was wearing yellow pants. But his friend just laughed. "Nick, you've lost it, man. Stop playing so many games," because everyone knew Nick rarely left home. He spent most of his time locked inside, playing video games. Moments later, a police officer arrived and told Nick's friend not to linger there. But during the conversation, when the officer realized that Nick's friend already knew what the killer looked like, he immediately took him in for questioning. Meanwhile, back at home, Nick watched everything unfold in horror, unaware that his computer screen was now showing something far more terrifying than before. Strange things started happening in the real world. Meanwhile, in reality, a mysterious car began following right behind the police vehicle. When Nick saw this, he instantly knew something was very wrong. He tried to control things through his computer game, but no matter how many times he pressed the keyboard, nothing worked. At that same moment, the mysterious car crashed into the police car. The vehicle swerved off the road, and a group of masked men jumped out. Without saying a word, they kidnapped Nick's friend right there in broad daylight. A while later, his friend was dragged into a dark warehouse where sharp iron spikes were pierced into his body. Then, a chilling message appeared on Nick's computer screen. Greater than, "The game begins now. If you win, your friend will live. If you lose, he dies." Nick panicked. He tried pressing exit game, but the system was completely frozen. There was no way out. And when his game character was hurt inside the game, the iron devices on his friend's real body tightened painfully. To save his friend's life, Nick had no choice but to keep playing. After an intense struggle, he finally gained the upper hand But then, suddenly, the screen locked again, and a mysterious voice whispered, "Greater than, answer this. How much money did I borrow from your friend?" Nick was stunned. He couldn't remember. He entered a random number. The next second, he heard his friend screaming in agony. On screen, a horrifying message appeared. Greater than, your friend has been executed, impaled to death. Nick collapsed in despair. Just as he was about to smash his computer, another message flashed up. Greater than, the game isn't over yet. Break the computer, and your parents will be next. Nick's blood ran cold. He immediately called the police and explained everything, but they thought he was some crazy gamer and hung up. With no one left to turn to, Nick called his father in panic. "Dad!" The game's character, "It's coming for you." His father, angry and frustrated, shouted, "Nick, stop it! You've gone insane. Turn that game off." He stormed out of the house to clear his mind, lighting a cigarette outside, completely unaware that a dark figure was watching him from the shadows. It was the same mysterious man who had killed Nick's friend. As his father struck the match, the figure stepped out from the darkness. And on Nick's computer screen, a countdown timer had reached its final minutes. Terrified, Nick kept calling his father over and over, but there was no answer. Nick frantically dialed the number of the hotel where his father was staying. He spoke quickly to the receptionist. Greater than, please call the police right now. A man in yellow pants is following my father. The receptionist was shocked at first, but when she checked the CCTV footage, She froze. The man in yellow pants wasn't a stranger at all. It was Nick's father's old friend. Meanwhile, a group of armed men had arrived outside the hotel. Suddenly, bang! A deafening gunshot echoed through the air. Nick's heart sank. Moments later, a new video appeared on his computer screen, a live feed of his parents. The mysterious figure had trapped Nick in another horrifying game, a two-choice death game. On the screen, a spinning pointer rotated between two faces. Whoever it stopped on, that person's neck rope would tighten. Nick tried to hit pause, but the game wouldn't stop no matter what he did. Panicking, he grabbed the computer and smashed it to the floor. The screen went dark, total silence. He sighed in relief and turned the computer back on, only to find that the game was, in fact, closed. But just as he felt safe, a new message appeared on the screen. Greater than, "The game isn't over yet. Answer the question, or both your parents die." Then came that same eerie voice. "Tell me a secret your parents don't know." Nick froze. After a few trembling seconds, he whispered, "The day my grandfather died. I was too addicted to gaming. I didn't take him to the hospital in time, and he died because of me." As soon as he said that, the chains around his parents' necks started to loosen. But it was already too late. They had been hanging too long, and both were gone. Nick broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. He thought it was finally over, but then the screen flickered again, and that terrifying voice returned. Greater than, "The game continues. Now it's your girlfriend's turn." Nick's face turned pale. He immediately tried calling her, but her phone was out of reach. At that moment, he realized his room door was locked from the inside. He couldn't get out. Panicking, he shouted for help through the window. A neighbor below yelled, "Call the fire department! They'll break the door." Nick's eyes lit up. Yes, the fire department could help. But when he called, the operator replied, "The nearest team will take at least 20 minutes to arrive." Nick clutched his head. 20 minutes, that's too long. Suddenly, his computer screen lit up again, and the scene changed. Now it showed his girlfriend's office, which could mean only one thing. The mysterious man was already there. Now the mysterious man had set his sights on Nick's girlfriend. To save her from danger, Nick immediately called her best friend. Luckily, she was sitting right beside the girlfriend in the office. The friend quickly handed the phone over. Nick shouted anxiously, "Leave the office right now. Go home quickly." The girlfriend hurried downstairs and got into a taxi, but the moment Nick glanced at his computer screen, he froze. The taxi driver was the same mysterious man. He warned her at once. "It's him! The driver is the killer. Run when you get the chance." Summoning all her courage, the girlfriend waited until the red light, then flung open the door and bolted toward a crowded street. For several tense minutes she ran, terrified, until she finally reached her apartment building and hid inside. Both she and Nick sighed in relief, but suddenly loud pounding echoed from the door. Nick thought, that must be the fire brigade. After all, they had called for help earlier. The men outside said, "We just need to take a picture to confirm the door is fixed." Reluctantly, Nick opened the door, and in the next instant, several men stormed in. They weren't firefighters at all. They were the same gang, disguised as the rescue team. Before Nick could react, they grabbed his girlfriend. Now Nick had only one option: play the game. He powered up his computer again and started the PK match with all his strength. For a while, he was winning. But then his computer screen shattered and the other players began gaining points rapidly. Then came the eerie voice again. "If you want to keep playing, tell a truth that will completely shatter your girlfriend." Nick's hands trembled as he confessed, "All these years, she could never become a mother. because I secretly mixed pills in her water, so she'd keep working and wouldn't disturb me while I played games at home." His girlfriend's face turned pale. Her heart broke completely, but to survive, she forced herself to forgive him. As soon as the screen unlocked, Nick resumed the game with full force, but it was too late. Because of the long pause, the others had pulled far ahead, and in the end, Nick only finished second. The gang members closed in on his girlfriend. Enraged, Nick threw a chair and fought back fiercely, but from behind, someone struck him, and everything went black. When he opened his eyes, he found himself tied to a chair in a dark warehouse. And there, standing before him, was the mysterious man. But he wasn't a stranger. He was an old man, around 60 years old. Suddenly the lights came on, and Nick saw his parents, girlfriend and friend standing in front of him, smiling. The shocking truth was revealed. It had all been a setup, orchestrated by his own family. They had done everything to teach him a lesson, to make him quit his gaming addiction and return to real life. Every weapon, every torture device he saw had been fake. Hearing the truth, Nick completely broke down. Because during the entire ordeal, he had revealed all his deepest, darkest secrets. And now he realized this wasn't just a game anymore. It was the most terrifying game of his life, reality itself. When the truth finally came out, Nick couldn't even gather the courage to look into his family's eyes. Tears streamed down his face. He realized he had turned his own life into a game. Before anyone could react, Nick picked up the nearby gun, and without saying a single word, he ended his game life forever. This is the story of the 2024 Russian film One Life. The film revolves around a woman who stages a terrifying fake incident to break her boyfriend's addiction to gaming. The message of the film is deep and haunting. Games are a double-edged sword. If you play too much, one day the game will start playing you.